Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with a new project for me. I have watched a lot of videos on YouTube about how to use beeswax pellets to make paper that is more translucent. So I thought we would give that a try today. I've got a few things on my mind. I'm hoping to move through things pretty quickly. Some of what I'm going to show you are supplies that I used. I'm not actually going to do the stamping on camera because it takes a lot of time. The video is not about stamping, it's about using beeswax, creating that more translucent paper using stamps. And so we're going to talk about some of the inks that work and what doesn't work. I did a lot of experimenting off camera, so I thought I would bring you along and see what you think. So this is the organic white beeswax that I ordered from Amazon. I will link it in the supply list. I'm just going to set that out of the way. And then before I get to the samples here, this is the stamping platform that I use. I am a big stamper as well. I did a lot of card making prior to doing junk journaling kinds of stuff, and so this is the stamping platform I used. And the reason why I feel like this is really important is because you get a chance to stamp multiple times as long as you don't move your paper that's in here. And forgive me if you guys already know this. If you don't move your paper from within here and you lift this, you do your stamping and you lift it back up and you didn't get a good impression, you can just re-ink your stamp and then do it again. So I just wanted to show you that just so you can see the tools that I'm using. Again, we're not going to be doing this today. I am going to probably be doing this stamp for the Grungy Bee Journal because I think she would be really pretty as a pocket in there, but I will probably do that off camera. Anything that I do that has to do with this beeswax process, I will take photos at the end and show you guys what I ended up doing. So what I've got here, again, I'm going to show you some of the papers I used as well. This is parchment paper just from the kitchen section of your local grocery store. So I've got a few pages of those, and I basically just took my iron and I opened it up because I didn't want those creases to make everything kind of fall, and I ironed the whole thing, then I folded it in half and pressed it so that I had half of a sheet to work with, so that I can just put my paper inside of here and then fold it over and then go ahead and do my melting. So we're going to get to that process here in a second. These are some of the papers that I used. I'll talk about it in a second, but I did try just regular standard hot copy paper, did not like it at all at all, so I wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards that. So I pulled some vintage book page or music page, some vintage book page. This is my coffee dyed linen paper that I've been using of late, so it's got a really porous surface on it, and I'll show you what my prototypes looked like and why I really liked that more than anything else I tried. So I'm just going to set those over there. And then these are my samples. These are what we're going to actually be doing today. So this is a different stamp from my collection. I believe this is a Prima stamp. Isn't she so pretty? I thought she'd be lovely in the Bee Journal as well. So we're going to do our process on this, and then these are some of the, because I really want to highlight the stamps from Your Creative Studio. This is the one from the most current box, so it's an artistic themed box, and then this is the one from the Bees subscription box. So I thought these would be fun to put in clusters and stuff. This was just a test. Generally, script on script doesn't really hold much appeal for me, so I probably won't use that, but I will continue on. And then this is the other one that I did, which is the same stamped image, but I did it on the coffee dyed linen paper. And what I discovered in my samples, it was really interesting because this is the book page, and I just love how it feels. It feels durable. It's interesting because you can see the script coming through on the other side, so you can see those letters that are on the opposite side, which I think is really kind of cool. So that is the stamp from Your Creative Studio, the bee themed subscription box, and many of these are. This is the stamp on just the white linen paper, not coffee dyed. What I noticed for some reason is when I first started, I got a lot of this bleed. So you can see that yellow that kind of spread out. And I think what was wrong with that is I had my iron up a little bit too high. When I turned it down, I got less of a bleed. So that was a good lesson there. This is the same stamp on white linen paper. Did not like that at all. This is the stamp on white copy paper, which there is nothing at all wrong with this, you guys. And a person could take a digital that's got a really like pushed back, mellow background, do a stamped image on top of it, and do the beeswax process, and it would probably be absolutely gorgeous. I did not try that, but again, you can see I got this yellow hue, which actually in this particular situation, it didn't look terrible. It just wasn't what I was going for. And I was surprised that I was getting that bleed because I'm using vintage photo and jet black archival ink, which is permanent. So I can't figure out exactly why it moved, because I even heat set it after I stamped on the paper. But again, I did notice less of a bleed when I turned the iron down. So just information for you. This is the same stamp on the linen paper that's coffee dyed. I love this. Look you can see my hand through it. Epic. This is my favorite paper. Well, I guess I don't really have a favorite because I loved the coffee. I loved the music page and the book page as well, but this is definitely going to go into that journal as a pocket or something. And then this is it on the music paper. And so you can see I turned the iron down, and if you compare, let me get one of the brown ones up here, if I can. Goodness. So same stamp, same ink, and I've got virtually no bleed on that. Can you guys see that? So I absolutely love it. I think the temperature, I really didn't pay attention to that in the tutorials I was watching. This is actually done with Stays On ink in Sunflower Yellow. I will probably play around with this for future items in this Grungy Bee Journal. I didn't mind it at all. It looks a little nondescript, but that may just partly be the stamp on this music paper, so I wouldn't throw in the towel on that. And then we talked about that one. So this was also a bad example, but again, it was when my iron was turned up high. And this was the Stays On ink in Timber Brown. And you can see we got this red glow, and I do not like that at all. So I would not repeat that. Again, I'll probably play a little bit more off camera just to see if the temperature on the Stays On ink also makes a difference. So that's some ideas for using inks. You do need a permanent ink in order for this to be effective and successful. So this is the iron that I'm using. This is just used to be my household iron. I started using it for other things. It got a little bit grungy, so it's now lives in my craft room. So the setting that I have it on is about on a 2 on this scale, which is the dry scale. And so that's where and I was up higher before. I was up in this range, 4 and 5. So again, I'll experiment more. And so let's start with this one. And I'm leaving this full, all this extra around it, because I might want to rough tear it when I make my pockets. So that's why I did that. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. I'm going to take my iron, and I'm just going to smooth out that crease and accentuate the side crease so that I have a good fold there, because then I can just sandwich my piece of paper in between here. So then basically what I did is I put that in there like that, and then I'm just going to grab my wax, my beeswax melts here, and get that opened up. I'm trying really hard to not bump and spill these because the bag is kind of leaning a little bit, so I do tend to always go overboard, but there is no harm in that as far as the amount of wax that I'm using. So I'm just going to spread that out because I wanted it to cover a lot of the brown part of the paper too. It does spread pretty far. This will spread all the way to the edges if I recall. So there we go. I'm going to reach behind me. I'm going to grab a few more here. Sorry for my arm in the way. I'm going to bring a few more down here into this little bit here and then into those flowers. I'm going to grab some paper towels because I found it very effective once you did the ironing that you could just remove it from this center, this sandwich part of the process, and then wipe off the excess wax. So that worked out really well. So we're going to go ahead, and this is black archival ink from Ranger. It's the jet black is the ink I used. And I did just, to be sure it was going to be okay, I did heat set that too. So I just zapped it with my heat tool after I stamped it. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And so the secret here is to bring your iron up and just kind of set it on there. Not full weight, just kind of, I'm just kind of moving around, I'm moving down the paper until some of that wax melts. And then I can start going back because otherwise your pellets just kind of get pushed out of the way somewhat from where we want them to live for this process. I'm going to turn this just a little bit just for an angle that works for me. And then I'm just going to start, and if I feel a bump, I'm just going to kind of slow down there and then just work that out. I love this process. I love this idea. Whoever thought of it is genius. I'm getting wax all over here. That's okay. I got it on my white table and I just took my heat tool and I zapped it with the heat tool and then just wiped it up really quickly while it was still hot from the heating of that wax on the surface. So we didn't get it all the way up, but I feel okay about that. It's on the main part of the image, so there we go. And I'm just going to set this iron over here. I do not need to get burned. That would be a bad scene. And then we're going to open it up like so. So cool. And I'm just going to lift it up here. And I can already see the translucence here. And I'm going to close this and I'm just going to set that on there and I'm going to get my paper towel. I didn't find that it mattered if I waited or not. I just started rubbing. And I love this because I did not get any bleed at all with this black ink. Well, I didn't get bleed with the black ink at all, even when my iron was hotter, which is interesting because the properties of the vintage photo archival ink and the jet black archival ink are exactly the same. So there we go. And I'm going to also wipe the back because you do get some residue from the sandwich there in between the paper, or in here. There we go. So, and I thought the best way to show you the translucence was just to get something like maybe my phone, just set my phone down here so you can see the translucence. So it's not like vellum in that you can't see a bunch of stuff underneath. Now let's see if we can see these words. So now we can see the words. So that's kind of cool, the script. So that I will probably put that behind for my pocket so that I have something behind her. Maybe I might just like her to be all on her own. So I'll try to show you that with each of the papers in terms of the translucence with each of the papers. So that is our first sample. And let's just go ahead and we'll go with this one as well because it's the same image here. And I'm just going to open this. You can use the same paper over and over because you're just melting wax. That's all you're doing. I'm going to bring this over here so I'm not reaching in front of the camera here. And we're going to just sprinkle on more. I'm going to go up a little high. Well, I'm not going to use this whole piece of paper for sure. So let's just bring that in a little bit. And before we go, I am going to grab some of the paper from your Creative Studio from the art set, the artistic themed box, and do a piece of their paper too and just see what it looks like. I think that would be kind of cool. Give you one more thing to do with their beautiful supplies. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. Just like I did before, bring my iron over. I am clumsy, so I'm being very careful. Very clumsy. And so just on a personal note, it is Thursday. What is it? August the 24th. And so I did a video yesterday where I was talking with you guys about how I was still feeling pretty yucky from my food poisoning incident. Today I am feeling better. Now, granted, the only thing I've eaten today was a piece of toast with a really thin layer of peanut butter on it this morning when I got up and had my coffee, and I have not consumed another bite in my mouth, and it is 3:15. So food definitely is the trigger. So, but I am feeling better. No headache, no chills, or anything that I was experiencing before. So I am feeling grateful. In case you guys were, I can't help but share with you guys. I mean, I feel like you're not just strangers. You know, we've got a community here of people that, yeah, we're friends, and it's part of who I am. I'm a relational person, and so it's what feeds me. So there we go. There we go. So we're gonna open. I love it on the book page. Absolutely love it on the book page. So let's just close that up. It's a little bit hot, so be careful. That was a little bit warm on the back. And again, I'm just going to run my paper towel over it. And you can see I'm getting, I think that might be the wax, because it is a kind of an ivory wax. It's not clear per se. So yeah, and this is just wax that people use for like candles and lip balm and deodorant, lotion, things like that. Body butter is what the package says. So there we go. I am loving this. We might even do a stamping on one of their papers with one of their stamps. That would be really cool. So I'm going to do the same with the back. Okay. And there we go. So again, very, very translucent. Boy, this glass is really, really warm. So be careful, guys, because whatever you're working around, you don't want to get yourself burned. So I'm going to put that right there again, and there you go. So very translucent. I love the book page. Love the book page. So last one here. I am going to grab my box really quick of the supplies. Hold on. Because this is, I really wanted to get in a project for your creative studio today. So I've got a couple more stamps in here as well. And then they've got this vellum paper in here, but I don't want to do it on that. I'm just going to find another one of their papers. Oh, I wonder how it would work on one of these recycled little packages here. There's not a very, oh, there's a smaller one. Not super small though. I don't think I want to risk that today. I'm not feeling that adventurous. I've got smaller ones of these. I think these are a little bit big for the stamps that I want to use. So let's get a piece of just the regular paper here. I'm trying to find one in the bottom. Again, this is the artistic box. So where is all the paper though? There's a whole bunch of paper. Oh, there it is. So I want to make sure I don't get the sticker paper, because that would be problematic. So this is the vellum. That's a thin paper. That's not sticker paper. I don't think that's vellum, is it? Nope. Vellum and vellum. So that's one of the thin papers, which I think I'm leaning towards, and that's a thin one, and that's a thin one. And I don't think it would work on that because there's already a lot going on the paper. And then this is a little bit thicker paper. Maybe we'll try two different kinds of paper here so you guys can see how each of them work. But definitely watch out. Make sure you don't use the sticker paper, because that would be a problem. So I guess we're going to bring the stamp platform over here. So bear with me a second. This drives me crazy. I don't like mess. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my stamp platform, and we're going to just bring her over here and go ahead and do this. together. Well, cattywampus here. Let me just set that stamp aside. And so again, this is the Tonic Studios, Tim Holtz Tonic Studios stamp platform. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put one of each of the papers in here. Actually, I think I'm going to cut it down because we don't really need the whole thing, right? And we're going to put that one in that corner, and we're going to do the same with this. This is the thicker paper, this is thinner. So we're trying two different kinds here. So again, we're going to go ahead and do that. I think I'm going to stamp the flower one on this paper. I'm going to need to trim this down a little bit. A little bit too wide. There's that and there's that. So this is going to be tricky because I only have so many magnets. So I'm just going to kind of wing it here. I try to butt it up into the hard edge here, because then you'll know right away if it moved. So there we go. So let's go ahead. I do want to grab the flower one again because I think it would be really pretty on, maybe we'll do it on that one. I'm going to set that aside. We're not going to use that one quite yet. So, kind of everything is a little bit big here. I mean, the stamps are small for what I'm thinking. So let's go ahead and do this one. Let's just go ahead and do this stamp. Now again, guys, if you know how to make these sticky, I can't figure it out. I know that there was one extra layer of film here, but I can't, I have to put glue on here to make it stick to any kind of stamp block or stamp platform. So, which is not a problem necessarily, but it's just, I find it interesting. So I'm going to put that right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do two on this one and just divide them. Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll put one there. These will make nice, cute little clusters as well. So I'm going to move that up. And let's go ahead and do the little palette here. And I think we'll not do that one. So now I'm going to get my glue stick, which my lid fell under a table, which I have not gotten down on my hands and knees to find. This little crafting session. So I just have to put a little bit, the lid's been off so it's sticky on all three of these, just to get them to stick to the lid of the platform. So there we go. And I'm going to move that over a little bit. And then you just close this platform in case you guys haven't seen it. It has a side for rubber stamps and a side for clear. So these are rubber, they're thicker, so it has to say rubber, not backwards, just normal. You know that it's wrong if it, like this says clear, but it's written backwards. So I know I'm not on the right thing. I would pull this off and turn it to do a clear stamp. That's Stamp Platform 101. Freebie. Okay, so I think I'm just going to use the archival ink in Vintage Photo here, just to keep this simple and sweet. So I'm just going to give it a lot of ink, as much as I can, and I will again heat set it. This is going to be really pretty because it's got a lot of open area, a lot of open area in the stamp that's not filled in. So that'll be interesting because that means you're going to see the pattern behind it, which is cool. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this. And I like to just kind of push on it a little bit. It takes, I usually like to leave it on there, leave it setting about 30 seconds to a minute, just to make sure that I'm giving time for that ink to get down into the paper. Again, I'm an impatient crafter, so. And the cool thing about these is you could actually fussy cut, like you could fussy cut this out of this paper, and that would be really epic as well. So, oh yeah, I love it. I'm going to go in with another layer just because I want it a little bit darker. Another bit of ink is what I meant. So if you were just using a stamp block, you wouldn't be able to do this because your paper has to stay where it was on your first try. So there we go. So down. And if it doesn't stay, you'll just kind of get a little bit of a blurring, which I've used things like that if I've made that mistake, and I don't really sweat it, but there we go. Perfect. I'm going to zap it with my heat tool really quick. Okay, there we go. We also still have this one to do, just because I want to show you that. So I'm just going to pull the papers off of here, and I will clean off those stamps when I'm done here. And so much, I got so much wax on here. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this back over. We've got quite a bit of wax in here. I think I'm going to go for another sheet here, just because I'm kind of persnickety that way. I'm going to go off camera though and press this, because I don't want to activate all that wax on my glass mat. So just doing this off out of view there. Okay. Okie dokie. Got so much going on here on my desk. Open that up. I wonder if we can get all these in at the same go. I think we might be able to. So if we trim this one down a little bit, I think this is going to work out really pretty. It's fairly thin paper. So I think that's going to be really cool. And this one as well. This is a little bit thicker. I've got to trim a little bit off of this edge. There we go. Beautimous. Okay, going for the wax. Again, I always get more than I need. That's probably plenty. Probably more than enough. I like to spread it out a little bit. I have noticed it doesn't really make a lot of difference. It's pretty forgiving. There we go. And I want to make sure that the whole paper gets it too, though, as I mentioned before, just in case I want to make, like this one especially, with the flower, I want to be able to make something out of it, and I might want to use that whole piece of paper. But I also said it does spread pretty easily over the whole surface. I'm going to go ahead and capture that just because it's here on the paper, even though it was a failed stamping. Part of the problem is I believe it's one of Tailor-Made Journal stamps, and it's not as deep of a rubber stamp as the other ones I was using, so it did create a little bit of problems. Nothing wrong with the stamp, just a little bit different depth. I'm just going to go down a little bit more here. Okay, and let's get these on the paper, right? Get everything on the paper. And we are going to be just about done. Short and sweet today. I am, I am enjoying trying to enjoy the last days of summer. I go back to work regularly on Monday. So I'm excited, but you know, it's always sad to see summer go. There we go. So I'm going to move that paper so I don't wreck it, and I'm going to bring the iron back over, and I'm just going to again gently let it sit on there. I'm barely letting it make contact, just really, really light, and then you'll begin to feel it give underneath, and then you'll know you're good to go. So I'm going to do the same over here, just since we're working with a lot of different pieces of paper here on the same place. Come on. Okay, let's just go for it. I might be overthinking it. I've been known to do that. There we go. There she goes. She's taking off now. I just think this creates so many possibilities in your journal making, this beeswax process. So not too concerned about that corner because it's got that one stamp that I didn't really care for. the results there. Okay, and I'm just going to hop over here to this one to finish it off. I did watch some tutorials where people just use like a hairdryer to do this. I think it would take so much longer, but that's certainly an option. It was very effective. I just thought, well, I have the iron. It's fast and predictable, so I like predictability. So finish this one off, and then we'll look at the results here. So all the links to your creative studio will be down below in the description box. You guys can check it out. If you like what you see, their stuff is amazing. There we go. Whew, that was a lot. A lot more ironing. I just love this black archival ink. Did not move at all. No shift at all. So I'm just going to set that there, and then I'm going to pull this one off and set it there, and then I'm going to get this out of my way. Again, that is a little bit warm, so make sure that you're being cautious as you do this. So I'm going to grab another, here's my, I already used both. There's the paper towel. You should see the mess I have over on my desk over there. Like, oh my gosh, wild. Okay, so I'm just rubbing, and this is just taking off some of the excess wet, warm wax. So there we go. These are going to be really cool in clusters or something. I'm not going to make a project on camera. I might do some fussing with it off camera and make a couple things just so you guys can see what I would actually do with these bits. So you can check that out in the photos at the end of the video. So they're not any different than what we've been doing, other than, again, you can see the book page primarily. Look at the book page behind it. Well, I guess we already have book page, goodness gracious. Let's see what it looks like if you can see that brown. So they're starking it up by putting that brown paper behind it, which is kind of cool. Let's try the music paper. Yeah, so you can see it, just so you can see the translucency. Kind of an example of that. So that is that. So this one is epic. Got a lot of excess wax here. There we go. So really cool, really cool. Very translucent again. Should have just kept that paper over here so you can see the translucency. Look at that. Look at that. I love it. I absolutely love it. So this would be a great project when you've got like scraps, and if you're working with your creative studio box and you've got scraps of paper, you could totally use those. I can see I've got some wax built up here. It might have, when it came out of the paper, the parchment paper, and went back in, I feel some lumps, so I might give that another set there. But look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's upside down. So epically cool. I love it. I absolutely love it. And there's, so that one you can't see as much, I don't think. Is there a difference? Yeah, there is definitely a difference. So this is a lighter paper than this paper. So that is all for today, you guys. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to do some work to make some projects with these. You can see them at the photos at the end of the video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.